Then I came north from St. Augustine, and I worked at the New England Nursery, and that was an interesting job. I did a lot of plant propagation, and I sold plants to various suburban people who were living around Bedford and Concord, Lexington, and I lived on the nursery. Some people, when they came to buy plants, would ask design advice, and I don't know why I thought I was qualified, but I was giving them design advice. But living in the nursery was actually how I got connected with Harvard GSD, and I've told this story to many people. I lived out in a little shack that had, I think, 110 Sicilians back before bulldozers did the work in the nurseries. And they fixed it up for me, and it's right next to the rail line that went from Concord through Bedford. And supposedly that was how the inmates of the Concord Reformatory escaped. And so I always, well, because I was always exhausted from working all day in the fields, I went to bed early. And one night I was in bed, and I heard voices, and I thought, oh, it's the inmates from the Concord Reformatory. Well, then I heard my name, and it was some students from GSD who were taking a summer program in plant materials, and they had a friend who knew me and knew that I was living out there and working in a nursery, and they thought they'd like to come and meet me. So once I realized that they weren't escapees, I came out and we lit a bonfire and talked over what I was doing and what they were doing. And they suggested that I might study landscape architecture. And they invited me into Cambridge, and it was the link that, and I didn't have all the credentials. I had to take a makeup math course at Harvard, but they admitted me so long as I took that course. So that was how I got to Harvard, and I will never fail to thank the faculty at Harvard, Serge Chermayeff, especially Hideo Sasaki, Norman Newton, and Walt Chambers in the landscape department, all gave me a lot of time and attention. The GSD then was a sort of intimate place, and people looked after you and helped you, and you knew everyone, and you were really part of the whole thing, and that made a big difference to me. I gained a lot of confidence, and I gained an understanding of design, and I loved studying under Siegfried Gideon, the author of Space, Time, and Architecture. That was a book that the students who had encouraged me to come recommended that I read before I got to Harvard, and then to arrive there and have the great man teach a class which I took was a wonderful moment.